What's going on, folks? It's your boy Black Phoenix coming to you live this morning. I wanted to create a small video to talk about how to be successful as an independent welder. And I wrote a little list down here, and I basically named it 7 steps to be a successful independent welder. And this is just coming from my standpoint. I had a conversation yesterday with one of my followers on YouTube, and we talked about 50 minutes. And this is with a total stranger, just another fellow welder brother who needed and wanted some information about how to be independent, how to go out on his own and get things started, what direction to go. It was an interesting conversation, and it led me to come up with this 7 steps that honestly I have used and I am using, and it has been making me successful. And I honestly think next year, 2018, HogOn Welding LLC will reach where I want it to be as far as being stable and being a successful home-based business. Once again, like I say, I named this 7 steps to be a successful independent welder by Black Phoenix. And the first step would be to be mobile. I think it's very important to be mobile, to have your rig, to have your welding equipment where you can be able to go to the job site, to different contractors on site, because a lot of them need rig welders or independent fabricators to come and install and erect or to weld on site. So being mobile is very important. Me and my wife went to the extent of being completely mobile, where we're able to travel from east to west if needed. Right now we're focusing on this area, which is from Arizona, Utah, Nevada, California, and Colorado. So we're focusing on working in those areas, and we bought an RV. So our first year going into business, like I said, we did pretty good, and we saved our money, and we bought an RV. We bought the truck to haul it, all of our welding equipment and everything. We pretty much needed to be mobile, so that way we can be able to actually say we was completely mobile, and we was able to meet the needs of our clients and contractors. So step 2 would be learning the ins and outs of your welding service. So once you decide you want to be a home-based business, you want to be a rig welder, or just say the independent welder, whatever title you want to put on it, learn that field. I'll say that's very important. Like, know the ins and outs, the troubleshooting, know what you're facing, know the equipment you're going to need, your budget. You don't have to have a real big budget to get started and be successful. Step 3 would be buying your tools and equipment needed, and buy them used. You can get them off of Craigslist, OfferUp, different sites that people going out of business, or journeyman who's retiring that's selling their tools. So there's a lot of different ways you can be able to get your equipment without breaking the bank. 4 would be get legal. And when I say get legal, I mean get your Aws Certs, get your business name, your logo, your LLC, your EIN, your bank account, insurance if needed. It's not always needed when you're starting out. In some cases, doing 10-9 work. So in not all cases you need to get this big insurance contract to get started. You can get started being just an independent contractor and working 10-9 work, getting your money up and figuring out what field you want to be in, and getting your niche together without going and spending a big sum with a insurance company, and then for that year or that 6 months you don't even use it. So think about that before you make that decision. Step 5 would be learn about the taxes and the tax benefits of having a home-based business. Find out what areas are best, what can you do from home, and YouTube can help in this situation. You can learn so much about your home-based business and taxes being an LLC. I think personally it's very important to form your LLC, especially if you're an independent welder and you got a family, or you just an independent welder fresh out of school, you don't have the kids. It's very important to have a business on top of having your personal account. So I think it's good having an LLC because it helps balance things out, and you get a lot of great benefits from having a home-based LLC. So I'll get more into that on another video, but look that up on YouTube. It's so much information on there. Step 6 will be one of my favorites, which is hustle. That's what I call it. Start networking and building relationships with your local community. I'm talking about from welding shops, from fabrication shops, from steel companies, from welding supply stores, from going to job sites, passing out cards and flyers, doing some crane chasing is what we used to call it in the South. You see a crane, hey, let me go pass out my resume, let me go show them what I can do. I got my bags, I got my harness, I'm ready to go. You have to be that type of hustler, have that type of drive if you really want to get somewhere in this field that I learned. So after you figure all those other things out, your networking is big, and you don't have to go all the way out. You can use Craigslist, put you some ads together. I would say at least, me personally, I would say at least put 5 to 10 ads together and let them rotate, you know, offering your services as a independent welder, as a rig welder, as a service provider. You know, a lot of companies will hire you to come in and help them weld and finish a project. And if you go in and you do a good job on this little 10-9 work, they'll call you in on another project. So, you know, you're not like the average employee. The employee, you'll come in when needed, but you'll be starting to build some good relationships that way. So I would most definitely say do that. And step 7, which is the last one, and to me is very important, is always meet your contractors and go over the details with prints or a walkthrough before agreeing to the work. Meet the people, very important. Know what you're getting yourself into. Know what the work involves. If there's a time limit, how much you're gonna have to put into it. Is it just your time that you're investing, or you invest in assets? Man, there's a lot of big things you need to know when getting involved with working for yourself or being independent. So I would say one of the very important things, and why I saved it for last, is to meet the people and know who it is, because you can get into some situations where it can be a headache. So to save yourself a headache before agreeing to a contract, don't get, you know, greedy. One thing I know, that as long as you apply yourself and you network yourself properly, a door is going to open if you keep knocking it. You just got to keep knocking at the door. So if a contractor come through and you can tell that he's going to be complicated, or it's going to be a hard situation, or you might not get paid, or it seems like he might be a shyster or whatever, step back from it. I used to always hear when I was growing up, all money ain't good money. So in this situation, when you're being an independent welder, you got to keep that into consideration. All money is not good money. You know, we used to say that playing dominoes. You know, sometimes if you're trying to win the game, you got to have a strategy. You just can't take everything that come around if you want a domino. Sometimes you got to pass the money up. So, you know, it's the same thing with being independent. So, coming from an independent welder, I would say there's nothing you can do. We started out in our first year in 2016, and we did good that year, and we was able to buy like I say, our RV, our welding equipment, our welder, our tools, our gear, our licenses, our certs, and we was able to move to Phoenix, Arizona, beginning of 2017. So this is my first year here. It's going to be my first Christmas this month, and I will say that it's been good. It's been good. I like it. I like it that it's sunny, that you don't have a lot of down days. It's not a lot of rain, and it's not, you know, it might be hot at times, but you can work early and get off, you know, sooner. So, you know, there's ways around that. So I like the city. So I moved here because, you know, it helps me stay focused and motivates me. A gloomy place is not good for me. Most people ask me about my background, and even this gentleman I talked to today, give me a second. And gentleman I talked to today, he wanted to know a little bit about my past and how I became a welder. And I told him honestly it was because of my mom. Rest in love. She died in 2012, and in October. And when I went to prison at 16, by the way, I went to prison at 16 to the age of 26 for drugs and robbery. And while I was incarcerated, my mom came and visited me, and she was like, so son, what are you going to do when you get out? What direction you're going to go in? And I was like, you know, I don't know yet. You know, I'd been locked up about a year then. And she was like, well, you know, you need to get your GED. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. And she was like, I've been watching TV, and I've been checking out them welders. Man, them underwater welders make a lot of money. And even the ones that don't go underwater, they make a lot of money. They travel, they see the world, they got nice cars. She was like, I think that can replace that fast money, you know, that you have been brought up to get, you know, from the streets. I think you can go a lot further with that. And then she was like, then later, after you finish, you can start a business with it. You can teach others and start a school, or you can be a instructor in it. So there's many things you can do with it. And I was like, man, that's pretty neat, Mama. I was like, send me some information on it. So she did. And I got some more information, you know, from the prison library on welding and the techniques. So I read the books to learn about it, you know, the talk, the language, and what to do. And once I was short enough in my prison sentence, I was able to go to a boat technical school and take combination of welding, where I learned how to TIG, MIG, and stick in all positions, welding 1G through 4G. And I was able to graduate there in 14 months. And I became a welder then, and I started welding while I was in prison, working on maintenance. And once I got out, I was able to get a job instantly. Like as soon as I got out in 06, I was blessed to have a job waiting on me from a chaplain who I had met, who seen my growth and what I was doing throughout my incarceration. And he reached out to a friend and said, I know a guy used to be a welder, he'd probably be looking for a job. The guy said, send him my way when he get out. I went over there, he hired me, and the rest is history. You know, like I say, I got the job. And it's ironic because when I started, the guy kind of paid me like, you know, I'm fresh out of prison, fresh with this trade, you know. I didn't really care what I made, and this was 2006 at the time. I was like, you know, I was just hungry. I was like, hey, whatever I make, I'm happy. So the guy started me at $8 an hour. Now today, I wouldn't even leave the house for $8. But it was funny that, you know, I started then because I had to learn. You got to learn from somewhere. So I took that $8. Now, folks, I'm not lie to you when I tell you this. Once I got there and the man seen my work ethics and seen what I could do and how I perform, in 30 days, or maybe less than 30 days, they called me in there and gave me a raise. They didn't give me 50 cents. They didn't give me $1. They gave me $2. So I went from $8 to $10 in 30 days. not asking for a raise. And then the guy told me, you know, in a year he'll give me another raise. And I wasn't there completely a year, and I ended up going to another job where I did get a raise, and I went up from there. That's when I entered the iron working field and being outside and doing the field work, which I really enjoyed, because at first it was just shop. So I had been from all sides, so I learned the shop, the field fabrication, the installing, structural, ornamental, you name it. But just to say, you know what I mean, like I say, I came from nothing, just an idea that if I invest some time, if I learn it, if I put something together, that there's nothing I can't do. And that's how I became an independent welder. And like I say, I believe next year we're really going to be successful, and I'm going to be able to help some others, independent welders, be able to train some, be able to send some more off into the world to go different places and build their own companies and brands and do different things. That's my goal. So if a person like me from a small town in McGee, Arkansas, born in Little Rock, could, you know, start his own business, being an ex-felon, being in prison for 10 years, and now I've been out 10 years, and you know, you can do it. So when you're trying to build your brand, just remember that you have to put your all into it, and you have to have no limitations. So if you're entering this with limitations, then it might not be the right move for you. But if you're going to give it your all, if you're going to get your hog on, as we would say, have no limitations and go after what you want, you can do it. Just remember that it takes tools to be able to do the job you need, not just physical tools, but mental tools, knowing how to do. So when you're building what you're building, just remember that. Make sure you get the right tools, the right information, know the right trade, or you in the right trade. If you ask me, if you're looking at this video and you want to be an independent welder, I think welding is the best trade, because you can be able to enter all fields without having a down day, in my opinion. So until we talk again, get your hog on. Have a blessed day. Let it be remembered.